Hey everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. We are back from New York. What an awesome week. So great to connect with so many Moonbirds, collective members, and just people from all sorts of communities. You know, I like everybody in this space, most people in this space, and it was great to see you all. So I had a lot of fun. It's nice to be back in Colorado, though. We're going to do something a little bit different today. Instead of big stories, just going to throw a lot of information at you, talk about market overview, and then go into the notable sales for the weekend. Let's get right into it, starting with a quick market overview. Volumes were down a fair bit, kind of hitting pretty much recent lows versus where we've been in terms of where the volume was over the past 72 hours. That's how long it's been since I saw you last. You know, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Apes, Rat Punks, really kind of all the standard players had the most volume over the weekend. That tends to be the trend with Blur right now, that it's the highest kind of profile projects that get most of the volume. Where was the volume? It was largely on Blur over the past 3 days. 71% market share on Blur versus 26% on OpenSea. In terms of prices, they were down, not terribly, but 1 or 2%. You know, we've just kind of had this nonstop bleed for a while now, and that just pretty much continued. In terms of where within the large cap index things were up or down, Azukis were very strong. A bunch of people swept a whole bunch of Azukis. I think there's a lot of anticipation there ahead of their Vegas event, which is in June. And this is kind of one of those great scenarios where you have 6 weeks of anticipation, a whole lot of unknowns, you know, so I think that that's kind of leading to some strength there. Clone X was strong, and then weakness in Cool Cats, Doodles, and CryptoPunks. Midcap index, midcaps index pretty much flat as well, down a small bit. A lot of strength in Fluff. The floor price there up 39%. Weakness in A Kid Called Beast, Deadfellas, Kumpai Pandas. Now, in terms of flip returns, flippers were broadly unprofitable over the weekend. A whole bunch of losses realized by flippers. You can't really see it here, but it was 150 to 200 ETH per day. Where were the gains? Where were the losses? People made money flipping Pixelmon, Cyberbrokers to Gentunes, and a whole lot of losses in Outlaws. We talked about Outlaws on Friday. Really hot to pre-reveal. Got to like 0.2 ETH floor. After reveal, went all the way down to 0.06, 0.05. A true buy the rumor, sell the news, buy the anticipation, sell the event story there. Nakamigos giving back some of the gains they've had. CloneX had a bit of a rally, but still saw net losses on the trading there. Now, in terms of Pixelmon, I want to, this was the top performer in terms of flip returns. Look at this chart. I mean, we all remember Pixelmon, one of the biggest rugs earlier in the year with Kevin and just tons of ETH taken out of the system, something like a 3 ETH mint that completely tanked. But what you've seen here is that we're having a total revitalization. Recently, the project was bought by a whole new management team that is really trying to inject life into this as one of the top gaming properties for Web3. Here you can see, this is from January 10th, so 3 months ago, but you can see a little bit of what that game is going to look like. Some pretty cool stuff going on there. Now, I grabbed this tweet from the Pixelmon. Yeah, they retweeted this. It's Chinese, though. This is an English show, so I'll translate it to you. I went to ChatGPT, said, what did that tweet say? And here's what they said. Basically, they're doing an AMA, which is going on this morning, where they're basically trying to say, what happened here? This was considered, one of the biggest mockeries of the space. The floor price went up to 0.8. Now it's well above 1 ETH. What exactly happened? So they did an AMA where they dove into the details. I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but if you listen to it, curious what you heard. Tell us in the comments. That'd be interesting. Another project that kind of tanked and has recently seen a revitalization, NFT Worlds. This looks like a healthy chart, doesn't it? A lot of charts look really healthy when I make them go back to September 1st. If you look at it from here, though, going all the way back to last year, it looks a lot less healthy. But this chart, forget about it. I mean, what we are seeing is a lot of new interest in this project. Floor hit 2 ETH a little while ago, briefly, but now it's at 1.80. So nice to see a little bit of energy going back into NFT Worlds. Also quickly wanted to touch on Bored Ape Yacht Club. We had a lot of weakness when Franklin dumped a whole bunch, something like 25 apes on Friday because he had some personal issues and had to cover some loans that he had. The floor price took a bit of a hit. It's kind of staying in that 53 to 55 ETH range. But one of the very interesting things that happened was Jimmy.eth, an old school, huge supporter of Bored Ape Yacht Club, very early to get in, dumped a whole bunch of pretty nice apes onto the floor in Blur bids. Here are 4 of the examples. A diamond grill. Diamond grills typically trade at something like a 50% premium to floor. You actually had a diamond grill that traded yesterday that was worse than this one, and it traded for 76 ETH. He sold this for 53 ETH. I think sometimes when these guys have just a ton of ETH and a lot of exposure, they just want to take the easy way out, dump on a blur, give up a bunch of ETH in the process. I think all four of these could have easily traded, 5 to 10 ETH above floor. But he dumped them into bids. Basically, when asked why he did it, he said, "Tax man cometh." I guess April 15th, maybe had to get some money together for taxes and did it therefore. But a bunch of ETH left on the table. Thought that was interesting to see. And let's talk about art. In terms of art projects, a few projects did more than 10 ETH, just Ringers and Chromie Squiggles, actually, it's only 2. This is over the past 24 hours. Looking over the weekend at some of the bigger sales, we had a Ringer that sold for 30 ETH, a Fidenza for 46 ETH. Now, this was one of the first Fidenza sales below 50, a Subscape here at 4.6, and an Anticyclone for 5.2. I mean, this is just such a theme that I've been talking about. There's so little liquidity in art blocks right now. So many people who are not so many people, but anybody who wants liquidity really has been reaching for those ETH bids in order to get some ETH out of their art blocks. And it doesn't take a lot. In a lot of these projects, there are 1,000 NFTs. All you need is 2 or 3 guys who want to get liquidity, and they're really kind of hitting transaction prices that are a lot lower than what we've seen recently. Here's an art blocks index I created with 8 or 9 of the biggest projects, kind of looking at like Gazers, Fidenza, Chromie Squiggles, Ringers, Meridians, all of them. And you can really see that since the beginning of the year, this index is down pretty substantially, something like 35%. That's just looking at floor price. I think this is an even more interesting chart. This is the percentage of art blocks where the holder is accepting a ETH bid as opposed to a new person buying the offered price. And we are at 67% right now. So 2 of every 3 art blocks trades right now is a holder accepting a ETH bid. That's the highest that this ratio basically has ever been. Last thing I wanted to talk about, let's just go right into a few notable sales that happened over the weekend. Really going to focus on art, but first we'll do one quick PFP. A Pudgy Penguin, 52.4 ETH for this. It's a gold penguin. It's got the gold kimono. It's double gold. We know NFT people love gold. So when you get double gold, people love it double as much. 52.4 ETH. This is the 8th highest Pudgy Penguin sale on record, according to OpenSea. So I'm sure there's some kind of over-the-counter or other platform trades that happen, but OpenSea does capture a bunch of the other exchanges, and they say this was the 8th highest sale of all time. A few of the other big ones, obviously the only Pudgy Penguin that's facing left, this one sold for 400 ETH. A few of these one-of-ones sold for 100, 130 ETH. And then here you have one that sold for 55 ETH. But other than these 4 and a few other one-of-ones, this was one of the highest sales in the history of the project. In terms of art projects, this piece was a secondary sale called Bittersweet by Fewocious. It sold for 99 ETH. One of the bigger art block, one of the bigger super rare sales that we've had in a long time. A little bit about this Kelvin Coe. I've talked about him before. My old colleague, he was the buyer. You can say, he says here, thanks Fewocious and Jonathan Wolf for creating this beautiful masterpiece. And Fewocious in the tweet says, 3 years ago, my friend Jonathan Wolf and I poured our hearts into this piece of art. So it's something that they worked on together. Nice to see this transaction. I think the first time it sold for 22 ETH, so up about 4x in ETH terms from there. Here you can see Jonathan Wolf, the co-artist, saying glad we could work on it together. It really brought us together. So that's pretty cool to see. Congratulations to both of them, as well as to Kelvin, who's really been one of the big buyers of NFTs recently in the one-on-one space. Next one to talk about this piece, The Empress by Guillermo Lorca G. Sold for 10 ETH. Pretty awesome sale. If you look at some of the other pieces that Guillermo has sold, he's had another one at 10. He also had one at 4 ETH. So, this is kind of towards the high end of the range of what he has sold before. A little bit about the artist. He is a renowned Chilean painter. So these are paintings. He's had exhibitions pretty much in London, at the National Museum of Fine Arts in Chile, and he's currently exhibiting at the Moco Museum in Barcelona, Spain. And this NFT, this one that he just sold, is basically a replica of the piece, of that painting. It is a digital version of that painting, which is currently exhibited at the Moco. So pretty awesome to see that. Congratulations to Guillermo as well as the buyer. This piece here, Daffodils by Julie Pacino, sold for 12 ETH. Now the buyer here is Woodmere Club Capital. Now we know Woodmere Club Capital, not because Woodmere's made a lot of big buys, but Woodmere was the buyer of a recent Sam Spratt 1 of 1, which sold for something like 150 ETH. You can see the skull as the PFP, basically just saying this piece is a testament to our conviction in Julie. You know, she has a huge repertoire of expanding work. We'll talk about that in a second, but can't wait to see what she has planned for the future. Here are 4 further sales: 12 ETH, 11 ETH, 10.9, and 9 ETH. Now, this is her top sale that I've seen on Super Rare. It is not every day right now that we're seeing top sales on Super Rare. So awesome to see this for Julie. A little bit about her. She is a Los Angeles-based photographer and filmmaker. I believe the daughter of Al Pacino, which is kind of interesting, but has really done a lot of amazing work. That's defined her on her own. In her work, she features subjects that exist between binaries and their expected roles. Her photographs and films spark conversations about the interplay between sexuality and power, the communal and autocratic, and frequently use horror to embody existing power structures. So pretty deep stuff there. Love to see this sale. As far as what she has upcoming, she was one of the NFT 100. I read that bio. Wanted to see what she has up and coming. There's a feature-length film, I Live Here, which evolved out of an NFT collection she did by the same name. And she also has plans to produce a new NFT series called Hollywood Mornings, which will be a portrait series of NFTs, which we will see soon. Last sales to talk about. Wanted to talk about these 2 sales by Terrell Jones as well as one by OXDGB, 2 artists we highlight a lot on the show because they're super prolific and always having sales. But this piece by Terrell Jones, this cover Japanese magazine situation with one of those devils that is a common character in his work, 7.98 ETH. And this piece by OXDGB for 6.8 ETH. Now, I think one thing that's awesome about this piece by OXDGB is if you're looking at it at night, it has a totally different look. It's nighttime. If you're looking at a day, it's daytime. So it's a piece that is kind of a new technology for him, has evolving look and feel based on the time of day at the computer you're looking at. That's pretty awesome to see. Congrats to both the artists as well as the buyers on those sales. And then also one last thing is Terrell Jones had this Pepe. It's part of VVD's Pepe editions that he dropped over the weekend. It's an edition of 100 called Handsome Pepe, and the current floor is 0.32 ETH. If you're looking at a way to get Terrell Jones art, this could be one at a pretty reasonable price for where his stuff sells. That is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's great to be back in Colorado. It's great to be back talking to you. Let us know what you think. Tell us in the comments. Give us a like if you like the show. Give us a subscribe if you want to get subscribed to our channel, and tell us what you think in the comments. We appreciate you. We will be back tomorrow, as well as every weekday, with another show. Have a good one.